Hey everyone. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you guys a real rough understanding of what this map is going to look like and what you're going to need to add in. And then at the end, I'll give you guys a picture of kind of the finished product. It's not going to be real pretty because I'm kind of limited on the items that I can add in here, but I'm gonna do my best. So anyway, I'm going to start off with the geographical elements that we're going to want to include here. So we want to start off with the Appalachian Mountains. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to put those guys in here. They are going to run from the top part of New York down here to Georgia. And after that, we want to make sure that we are going to also have the Mississippi River. So we come here and we kind of just follow this line. And we're also going to have the Ohio River. Yours will look much better than mine does. And then the other mountain range that you're going to need to add in here is going to be the Rockies. And the Rockies are going to be starting here in Idaho and travel westward or travel eastward down towards New Mexico. So you're going to make sure that you labels these three as well. My map is a little bit small on my screen, and so it's a little bit harder for me to go ahead and label that in. So that's going to be our very first element. So our next step is going to be the original 13 colonies. So we are going to go ahead and make this a dashed line because while we want to show that it is the original 13, it's not the only part that is the original part of America. So I'll explain in a little bit why we cut off the top part of Maine and those little bunny ears, as well as make sure that you do actually include West Virginia into Virginia, because that actually was part of regular Virginia all the way up until the Civil War. Then you'll go ahead and you will, so this area is going to be labeled as the original 13 colonies. And we're going to outline this other area that we gained as a result of our winning the American Revolution. And like I've said, mine is not super pretty, so yours will be much nicer than mine is. And so for each of these, you're going to have a label. You're going to have what the name is, where we got it from, who we got it from, and then also you're going to add in with that the date that we got that particular item. So we'll start off with the and then we'll add in what was the original American territory. Next step after that is going to be the Louisiana Purchase territory. So we start off by outlining Louisiana, and when we get to the far corner of it, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to swoop up to the outside corner of Texas, and then we're going to continue swooping up until we hit Montana. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll just draw this lovely little line right here for that. And we will add in our information as far as where we got this acquisition from. After that is going to be the Treaty of 1818, where we are going to determine the border between America and Canada. So you're going to kind of do a dashed or dotted line up above and down below. So it makes this kind of little S shape. And so this particular area is going to be given to Great Britain to be included as part of Canada. This part will be given to America from Britain, and then this line is going to be itself pretty important because it is the 49th parallel. After that is when we acquire Florida, and we got this because Andrew Jackson, being sent down to the Georgia-Florida border to stop Indian attacks and also to prevent Southern slaves from escaping to Spanish Florida, instead of just staying at the border, actually marched into the territory without any permission, which is technically an act of war. However, Spain doesn't really have a lot to do with this particular territory. It's kind of off by itself, and so instead they offered to sell it to the United States for the low bargain basement price of only $15 million, which was pretty stinking good. So that's how we got Florida. So next on our grand adventure is going to be the Missouri Compromise, and this is many times also called the Compromise of 1820. So we know that Missouri is going to come in as a slave state, and Maine will come in as a free state, and this also is the creation of that 3630 line. So for those of you who need a little help with that, that 30, it's a little apostrophe, and that's what the 36 degrees 30 minutes is. And so we know that this will be a slave state, that this will be a free state, and that this is part of the Missouri Compromise. After that, we are going to have ourselves another situation with Great Britain, and we are going to avoid war, thankfully, by creating an agreement, which is going to be the Webster-Ashburton Treaty, and so that's where we get these bunny ears of Maine. So next up, we have the great state of Texas, and although if you look at some other maps, especially if you find them on the internet, it's going to show a different region a little bit, but again, we're just really looking at kind of the general gist of this. So you're going to do kind of a dashed line on this area of the Louisiana Purchase, because that shows us that that was disputed territory. And it's going to be disputed between us and Mexico, and also when Texas does become its own nation temporarily and becomes the Republic of Texas, it's kind of unclear where Texas ends and American territory begins. So the next area that we are going to acquire is going to be the Oregon Territory, and for that area, we narrowly are able to avoid war with Great Britain yet again. This isn't 100% accurate, but it's relatively close. So you're just going to outline that area of Washington and Oregon, and then take that line straight across over to where you find the Louisiana Purchase territory end. You also want to ensure that you are labeling not just the Oregon Territory, but also the famed phrase of 5440 or fight. That'll remind you that this 49th parallel was kind of the compromise that was made. Our next spot is going to be the results of the Mexican-American War, and that is going to include California as well as Arizona, New Mexico. Now, here, I want you to do a dashed line down California. And then when you get here to the bottom part of Arizona, I just want you to kind of draw a line across to Texas. And we're going to be adding in both the Mexican cession as well as the results of California and their entrance into the Union. And last but not least for this little section is going to be the addition of the bottom portion of Arizona and New Mexico, which was the Gadsden Purchase, as we saw in our funny little video in class. And this is where our map is going to end for now. Obviously, Hawaii and Alaska we will address later on in the year when we get to America reaching beyond its borders. So when you're all done filling it all in with the pencil, you can then go ahead and mark it in with ink and with colored pencil or crayon. This portion that you see right here is what will be due when we are turning these in for the end of key period 4. So you've got like about a week or so for you to kind of work your way through this. If you have any questions, please let me know. And I really recommend doing it in pencil first, because I messed up several times and I know how this thing goes. So if I mess up, you're probably likely to kind of make a few mistakes. So I recommend do it in pencil first, then go ahead and put it into ink and color. Also, please note that these are going to kind of be coming from the notes that we took for Manifest Destiny. So if any of this doesn't totally seem familiar, I highly recommend that you go back and you review through those notes and review through that PowerPoint that's on the website. All right, so that's it, and I'll see you guys in class.